So, my suggestion for you all during the day today, and I'm going to come up with 15 things. And you're going to, any one could expand your keynote or any story to heights that you've not dreamed of. Or pretty good, anyway. So, what importance is the setting? What importance is the setting? I say it's pretty crucial. And maybe it's only just a word or two or a sentence, but something that puts us there, because that is in fact the context, isn't it? It's the physical context for what happens. The characters, on the second one here, the characters we want to see survive. A story has to have that in it. A character that we want to see survive. What happens at the end of the story? You know, a lot of dramas, a lot of movies, a lot of things on television fail. Why? Well, you don't really care. Things are really awful for you? Good. You deserve it. But here are the characters we want to see survive. And puzzles we want solved. When you tell a story, really make sure there's a puzzle there that we want to get the solution to. But here's something I'm going to suggest you do. If you are a professional speaker, and you are, I'd like for you to just begin to look at the ways you've fallen in love with language. Where does language get you something you want? Maybe it's, oh, what do I say on this card to her? Oh, gosh, let's see. I'm not going to say that. But I'll say that, oh, I'm better than that. What do you say at some time for some reason? What do you say to a little child that's crying? Or what do you say to your dad that's standing there? What do you say at a particular time? Now, if you have this speech, here's something that I've created for myself. And I just happen to be addicted to words. It's an obsession. It's beyond an obsession. I love words. I have my own private thesaurus. I know Rita Risser has hers. Why, too, she created that. It's a folder this thick of a couple hundred words that I looked up on Word Finder and Thesaurus. And this one is the only one I printed out this nice. The rest are written in my handwriting. But I have, let's say there's 5 or 6 words that I'm going to be working with, some concept. I'll go through the folder and I'll find them and I'll just lay them out. And I'll just start thinking about, I'll read over them and say, what am I talking about? What am I developing? What am I working on? And I'll see what places these words take me to. I'd never get there if these words weren't there suggesting themselves to me. And one of my strengths, I know that, is coming up with titles and ways of saying things, because I spend much too much time on this problem. Max, I know where you are. I know what you're doing with the computer. I know you know well I am. Okay, so that's what I'm suggesting you do. Spend more time with the thesaurus. Just drive yourself crazy. Wear out the thesaurus. Also, you turn the next 2 pages where it says visual language, and then it also says auditory and kinesthetic. This is something I worked out to assist people that are more visual, that are more auditory, more kinesthetic. Look at the way you describe something, or the way you say something, and if you have a preference for one of these, hey, is there a place I can go to use a word that's more visual, or more auditory, or more kinesthetic? So visual language, auditory language, and kinesthetic language. What choices do I have to make in relation to words? Now, the next page, I tell you, one day in an acting class, I said, I want you all to divide yourself into 4 groups of about 4 people each. And I said, what I want you to do in the next 15 minutes, I said, I want you to think of every way you can think of that people are different from one another. What? I want you to have a secretary who's going to do nothing but write. Yeah, you can write one of your own words in there, but I want you to go with it in 15 minutes, or maybe it's 12. I want you to think of every single way that one person might be different from another person. And this is what only one group came up with. This is what only one group. All of these are ways people are different. So you are now creating the characters for your story, and 2 or 3 things you're going to say that are going to make that person memorable or not memorable to the audience. And it should relate to what the function is of that character. But I put these pages in here to give you a little bit of a boost. If you're going back to a story, if you just take one thing, well, I'm going to work on the words to describe the character. It'll be worth it if you really go into it with this detail. You see where it says, say something obvious in an unpredictable way, oxymoron, shadow language, personalized and inanimate object. What we want to do is, we want to awaken the metaphorical part of the audience's brain. We want to speak to the learning brain of the audience. And the learning brain loves metaphor. It loves story. It's hardwired to learn by narrative. And how do I say something? How does that oxymoron work here? Okay, so what I want you to do is to think about some adjective or noun that describes something important. For instance, I have a definition of a coach. Now, what words do you think of that would describe a good coach? Could you just kind of toss out some?
Powerful.
Powerful. What?
Behavioral.
I can hear it.
Behavioral.
Behavioral. Behavioral.
Listener. Listener.
Listener.
Teacher.
Inspiring.
Teacher.
What?
Teacher.
Teacher.
Supportive.
Supportive.
Socratic.
Socratic? Who said Socratic? Oh, of course, my Richard. Who said Socratic? Okay, so these are all positive things, right? What would be a bad coach?
Disinterested.
Disinterested.
Self-centered.
What?
Judgmental.
That's not right. Judgmental.
Negative.
Negative.
Short-tempered.
Short-tempered.
Incompetent.
What?
Incompetent.
Incompetent. I've never had one of those, have you ever? What? Okay, anyway. My definition of a good coach is a ruthless sanctuary. Think about that. A ruthless sanctuary. A sanctuary because you should feel safe with your coach. You should feel safe enough to allow them to make you a little uncomfortable. That's my definition of good and safe. So safe I can feel uncomfortable. In other words, I can feel open to change. Open to change. And ruthless in that able, being kind of playful about this, but there's nothing that a coach would overlook that might benefit you, even though it might be hard to take. It may make you a little bit uncomfortable. So saying something like that, a good coach needs to be a ruthless sanctuary. Oh. But that part of the brain comes alive.